How does a young real estate investor, a young, smart real estate investor, set himself up for the future? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of NoteSchool TV, where every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time, we welcome an amazing guest. And again, this week is certainly no different. Yep, young, smart real estate investor. So before we introduce this young man, a couple of things. Number one, right? Make sure and like what you see on NoteSchool TV. Just, hit that like button. And then if you have not already subscribed to NoteSchool TV, please go ahead and do that as well. We want you to see our library of episodes from the past. Well, we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary here on NoteSchool TV. And number three, make sure and hit that bell notification. Yes, please go ahead and hit that notification. And also keep your comments and your questions coming. Guys, we value those. We know where your headspace is, and we know what you're looking for when you let us know that you like NoteSchool TV and the guests we have on every week. So with that, what we will do, and by the way, to keep and stay in touch with us, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. And now, well, it is time for the news. So today we're going to start the news with, Fannie Mae announced the potential homeowners are becoming increasingly concerned with the market. So if you'll notice right here, only 17% of consumers believe it is a good time to buy a home. Now, last quarter, it was at 20%. And so right here, we're down at about 62.3 as far as the index goes, but that is actually down from 20% down to 17% for the second quarter, as reported by Fannie Mae. Now, guys, this is just, the sentiment of how folks are feeling out there. Interest rates going up and the uncertainty in the market with inflation and all of that. People are saying, don't know if I really want to jump in right now. Don't know if I really can jump in right now. And then to tie this together, I thought this was a pretty interesting headline here. And this is from the Detroit Free Press. And when you first look at this, Rocket Companies, which is Rocket, the parent of Rocket Mortgage, right, owned by Dan Gilbert, used to be Quicken Loans. They are the nation's largest mortgage lender. And it says they eke out a profit in the second quarter of $60 million. And they're doing some cost cutting. Here's what the rest of the story says, right? Rocket Mortgage, formerly known as Quicken Loans, reported on last Thursday, that it had $60 million, and I'm reading this so I don't miss it, in net income or profit during the second quarter of this year of 2022. Here's the biggie. Down from just under $1 billion, $1 billion with a B, during the same quarter last year. So they had just over $1 billion in profits, second quarter of 2021. This year, $60 million in profit. Total revenue fell for Rocket from $2.7 billion second quarter last year to $1.7 billion this year. So that's almost half, right? So this is what's happening out there in the marketplace. People are a little unsure. They're a lot unsure about what's going on, and basically looking and saying, is now really the time to get out there and to jump in and to buy a home. So right now, I want to bring on NoteSchool's founder, our chief visionary officer, and all-around great guy, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Hello, Joe. Good morning.
Well, good morning. Mr. Dan Gilbert that owns Quicken, or actually Rocket, that's a big blow, right?
Well, the mortgage industry, the loan origination industry overall is making drastic changes. And I think, if you're looking at last year, in a quarter, they made $1 billion, and this year they made 60 million. And you're saying, well, that's a fluke. They're the only mortgage company out there that's suffering those kind of numbers. And I think the reality is, Joe, they're not.
They're not.
And if you want to know the biggest reason that people are concerned about consumer sentiment is as far as people buying a house, and they're worried about affordability. The way to fix that problem is what most people don't know is available to them, which is creative financing. And our guest today has made a big transition a few years ago and transitioned into that. Still buys houses, pays cash sometimes, but he had a vision. You call him a young, smart real estate investor, and I think that's a fair statement. So with that, Joe, I'm going to bring on Homero Corona.
Good morning, guys. How's everybody doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
I commend you because there's a lot of young guys that are house buyers in the business, and they've stayed in the lane of flipping houses and doing that type of thing. The market's been good to them the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Right. But you have continued to do that, but you have made a place in your business for creative financing. And now, obviously, we're going to talk about that. But now the place in your business, the whole is much bigger. Right.
Absolutely.
And that those charts and those news stories that are out there literally coming in every day right now saying, let's just be fair about it, kind of saying the market's falling apart a little bit.
Right.
There's solutions, and there's thousands of people like you, Homero, that can make a difference. And we're just trying to encourage you that now you look at this market as, man, this is my opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, for so long, going out there and making just one type of offer, we know that there's just a small percentage of folks that are able to accept an all cash offer for so many reasons, right? And there's a big need for us more than ever before. And we're seeing it every single day. So it's exciting.
Eddie, I'm going to drop off here and let you guys talk for a few minutes. Homero, I'll see you in just a few.
Sounds good.
So Homero, when you joined NoteSchool, what were you looking at? Like, what was in your mind? Like, you were doing the traditional wholesaling business. Now all of a sudden you get off into the creative finance side. What was that triggering event?
I mean, it was just, I guess, seeing other people like me doing the business and kind of seeing a lot of them get burnt out, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that could do well wholesaling and fix and flipping, but I started to see something that everybody, for the most part, that I've ran into got burnt out, whether it was on their second year, fifth year, or seventh year. But everybody gets tired and, not really being able to build something that is really a residual or as passive as you can get, such as notes, was really intriguing for me to be able to say, you know what, have you thought about doing or offering, another offer versus just an all cash offer that we always offer? And sometimes it's not the best solution. So it was exciting to know that there was something else out there that I wanted to learn and just be a student of.
Well, I commend you for your vision. I believe that is a big thing. I've been doing the same thing for 42 years, and I've seen a lot of people come and go in the house buying business. And the answer is it is a grind. And it does kind of wear people down. And the thing about this creative financing, the cool thing is, crazy as it seems, but it's absolutely true. And that is people go find a peace in this and a stability in this that is hard to find in just flipping houses. So the market's been crazy the last couple of years, right?
Absolutely. A roller
All right.
coaster for sure.
And I bet you got war stories just like every other house flipper we know, with some crazy house flips you did, but you had added this to your business. And and you did it. And I like what you're saying here. You did it because, you saw it as being a more stable future and a more with more options, close more deals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because now, we have the ability to present an offer where somebody's stuck on price and saying, you know what, this is the price that I want. And being able to say, okay, we could probably get you that price. However, we just need to work a little bit on the terms, where before, it was just a very narrow, hey, this is our cash offer, buy low, sell high. And that was it. And having that ability to look at things a little bit differently has allowed me to work with a lot more sellers and look at something to say, you can make $20,000-$30,000 one time, but if you go this route, you're able to make 3, 4, 5 times what you're going to make. And that's really something that stood out. And I know for you, you've always said so many things that have stuck out, and some of those things have been, if you're not focused on your net worth and that cash flow, you're focusing in on the wrong things. And there's just so many people that have high income. But what happens if you get sick? What happens if you're not able to fix and flip? What happens if you're not able to wholesale, especially in this market? It could be very scary for a lot of people. And we're seeing it already.
When did you join NoteSchool?
I joined at the end of 2019, November 2019, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. So that was an interesting time, right?
Yeah.
As you really got in the fold and started doing it is when the virus came along and the market kind of fell apart, and then it went crazy good. Yeah. I've seen you so many times on Deal Labs or on our private Facebook group, post some really cool story. How long? I mean, because people are curious about this. Like, did it take you forever to get a deal done, your first deal?
I mean, it's just like anything, right? However much effort and time you dedicate is how long it's going to take. For some folks it may be a year, but for a lot of the action takers and people that want to go out there and say, you know what, I want to put it into action, it could be a few weeks or a few months. So
how long did it take you?
Yeah, it took me I'd say about 60 days, I think what it was, just being able to apply. Because if I need to learn, 10 things and I learn 2 initially, I'm going to go and take action on those 2 things. And, that's exactly what I did. So.
Yeah, I think in any business, you see somebody that takes a little long, it takes them a little long to get started. And, we talk about this a lot, as in our coaching side of our business is like how not to get stuck in second gear, so to speak, right? How not to get stuck over analyzing or over organizing sometimes and stuff. And I like what you said. I know for you that you learn 2 things well, and then you could come kind of rely on us to help you figure out some other things that you didn't have to be an expert at just to get the first deal done, right?
Yeah, and that's what made me feel comfortable joining NoteSchool. Is there's so many things out there with programs, but to me, there's nothing like NoteSchool that I've seen where it's really what it sounds like. It's really a school where you can just plug in. And for so many of us, we're all busy. We're all, chasing different things, and we got family, and we got so many things going on. So sometimes it is a little hard to maybe plug in that particular week or the second week or whatever. But the ability to know that it's consistent, it's always there. You can plug in, you can watch the record. There's just so much great content. And that's what's really made me comfortable, is knowing that, hey, you know what? I'm going to be able to step in, but I can call my coaches and just bring it on the Deal Lab and bring information. They're going to be able to support me every single week and learn. And that's the exciting part.
Well, I mean, I don't know what everybody in the audience, I don't know what your expertise is, but whether it's music or it's cooking or it's sports or it's any form of arts or whatever it is, right? Anything that you've become really proficient at, we all would say, but life really became one thin layer of pain at a time, right? You can't put 12 coats of paint on it one time. It's not going to look right, right, Homero?
Right.
You got to do it one thin layer at a time. And so I think, and that's one thing that we looked at is if we don't need people to commit to us, 20 hours a week. We need them to commit to us a very focused amount of time so we can give them efficiency. And anyway, so you've been cool. You brought deals in there. I'm so proud of you and what you've done. And I want to talk about a little bit of like from a personal perspective, right? I mean, you sit down with your wife and you say, look, I'm gonna add this creative financing side to our business. Well, I'm gonna still flip houses, but I'm gonna add this side to our business. And just like if you're in the business right now and you're trying to decide to do this, it's pretty obvious compared to 2019 when it maybe wasn't so obvious. Like what would you say to our audience about that decision?
No, I mean, me and my wife have actually, she's not very involved in, the real estate business because, we homeschool and that's what she focuses on. But she's always told me, bringing notes into the business and explaining that concept and saying, hey, we are going to become the bank versus paying the bank, right? It was really intriguing. And we actually own rentals as well. And seeing what comes with rentals, right? And why most people get rentals is because obviously, maybe some tax benefits and, the passive income, but we very quickly know that there's things that come alongside rentals. And, my wife has said several times, you need to, focus a little bit more on notes, and we need to do more notes. And that's what I like more, because once you stabilize that asset and you do your correct paperwork the right way in the process, it becomes very lucrative, and it's very exciting to be, feel like the bank getting those checks, ACH'd or sent directly to you without having to worry. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's summertime. It's been crazy hot here in Texas. I hope I don't get one of those phone calls. Like for me recently, I got one of those phone calls that, hey, my AC went out. Right. So it's definitely something that I think people need to focus more than ever, knowing that, you're really setting yourself up for, for some people, retirement or to pursue your passion.
Homero, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor, and we're going to talk about essentially how you got started with us, which is, kind of a little workshop, a little one-day event. And that's a good way to kind of start with us. When we come back, I'm going to talk about you're dealing with those landlords and showing them some strategies they never would have considered. We'll be back in a minute.
Sounds good.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Brian with the teaching team here at NoteSchool, and I'm excited that I get to be the one to invite you to the upcoming Gold in Notes class. That's right. It is a one-day deeper dive class that we call Gold in Notes because of how valuable this time spent is. This is a full day that we really get to dig into the nitty-gritty, the whole world of creative financing, not just how to acquire more deals, how to get access to more capital, how to defer a lot of the taxes for us as well as for the sellers that we're talking to, and really learn how to create your own notes. And really, once you learn how to create your own notes, this is really where we spend an entire afternoon really pulling back the curtain on what the note business is, from wholesaling notes, buying and holding performing notes to really build your wealth. I'll even show you a strategy called partials, which is by far the best wealth building tool I've ever seen in the real estate space. And we're definitely going to spend some time talking about non-performing notes, which is by far the biggest opportunity in today's marketplace, solely because of the events that have happened over the past couple of years. This is when people are not paying their mortgages, and we're going to make a lot of big money from these bad debts, and we're going to help a lot of people get a second chance. It's an absolutely fantastic day. Come spend a day really digging and discover a lot of this stuff so that you too can start building your wealth. It's a day meant to really be engaging. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your business problems, and we will see you there.
Welcome back, everybody. We have our guest today, Homero Corona, and he is a real estate investor here in Dallas-Fort Worth. You started, Homero, I remember this very well. You started with me at a little live one-day class.
Yeah.
And now we do them virtual, right? So you don't have to go be here in Dallas-Fort Worth. And we've gotten pretty dang good at the virtual, which I'm glad we did because it allowed a lot more flexibility. I want to talk about landlords. I laugh and tell this story. You've heard me say it. I can't believe I had such a solution right at the end of my nose, and it took me so long to figure it out, right? Because I've known about installment sales and capital gains for most of my adult life. I mean, I would say for almost all of my adult life, right? I'm in this business. I know that if you sell or finance, you can elect to collect the payments and pay tax on your gain out over when you actually collect the money, not the year you sell it, right? Because you didn't take all cash, you took financing. And then I know with capital gains that you can cut back on how much money you make as a capital gain every year. And if you cut back your income, let's be honest about it, you don't hit the threshold where it's taxed. Meaning, could you really sell a property and sell it literally and not have to pay capital gains tax? Now you're working with landlords who want to sell because they're not good at managing. How do you have that conversation with them?
It's just, some of the things that you've taught in NoteSchool is having a conversation where it's intriguing to them, where they're hearing something different. They're not hearing, right? They're hearing about all the 7 same things, right? From 7 different people. We can close quick upon your, cash offer, blah, blah, blah. But would you like to keep cash flow and pay very little to no taxes? And they're like, what? And it's funny. And sometimes I chuckle because like I've had conversations where sometimes sometimes it's on the phone. Sometimes it's even through a text message where I've had conversations where they're like, you know what? We're not ready to sell. And they give me so many reasons why they're not ready to sell. And then I'll go in there indirectly and say, I appreciate your time. However, do you know any landlords or anybody else that has some rental properties that would like to keep their cash flow and not pay any taxes? And they're like, what? Can we get on the phone? And it's crazy because one thing that I've learned from you guys is the majority of landlords are not professional landlords or accidental landlords, or they'll have just a handful of properties and they're not digging into everything that goes into rental properties, how to manage them, right? How to, take advantage of tax situations. So,
yeah, they're not professional managers in a business that requires a lot of professional management, right? Managing rentals is a highly skilled, organized business affair, and they bought it. They got kind of fired up about, let's just be fair about it, HGTV, and they said, honey, we can do this. And the next thing you know, they went and did it. And now we've met. I mean, and the people say, why do y'all make such a big deal about landlords? And it's because there's 17 million properties owned by small-time landlords. There's just such a gigantic number. I wanted to talk a little bit. I want to finish up with like what this has been for you, but I want to talk a little bit about how does your customer, like when you show them a strategy such as this, now you're not giving them tax advice,
right?
But when you show them this strategy, how do they react?
I mean, they're like almost in disbelief, right? Like, how does my CPA, or how do I have never heard of this, or they're in disbelief, right? So it's typically, let me do a little bit of due diligence or research or talk to somebody about this, right? Yeah. And then they get surprised when they have that conversation. It's like, well, actually, that is true. There is an installment sale, clause, or they open up, after you have that conversation. Initially, it's maybe a little bit of, this is different. I like what you're telling me, but I need to feel more comfortable. I need to do a little bit more research, right?
Yeah, I think that, there's a million ways to say it. I like saying that there's kind of two ways we can make you an offer. We can make you a cash offer, or we can make you a tax strategy offer, right? And the tax strategy offer for some people, actually for a lot of people, means that this profit, because the real estate has gone up in value, this profit that you've made since you bought it, there's a way to possibly position it. And this happens for more people than not. So this isn't a low percentage chance, but there's a way to essentially have that profit and not be taxed on it. And people go, and it's a unique strategy. It's not something that CPAs necessarily think about, although you're going to work with your CPA and confirm I'm telling you the truth.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, we found out that we had to be the creative one to point out the things that the CPAs can then go, oh yeah, wow, they're exactly right. So that's the conversation builder. I've never had anybody say, I'm not interested in learning anything about saving taxes. That's just sort of a natural thing. I want to go back to legacy. You got a great story. You got a beautiful family. I love your story. The lighting wasn't perfect and you spun around before we started today. And that background behind that's where your wife homeschools, right?
Yeah. I mean, because of obviously the real estate, business, it's allowed us, just how things happen accidentally since COVID. We took our son out, he recently got diagnosed. We kind of knew, being autistic. And for him, it was the absolute best thing that could happen. He's excelled. My wife actually was going to school to be a special ed teacher, and go figure, fast forward, God was preparing her for this journey. And ever since, COVID, we started homeschooling, and this is all her books and, study courses that, she's doing with him. And it's been amazing. And that's really, the benefits of being able to pursue something like the note business and creative financing is being able to, do these things where we'll take our son sometimes, to different events, and he'll kind of have some fun and come along with us. And that's just, amazing, the flexibility and creating that legacy and having him learn as well. And he's already learning as well, knowing that, hey, we fix houses and that's how we generate income. So,
well, it's funny. You went from a very transactional driven business to now you've split it to where you make transactional money and then you build long-term wealth. And now you describe a story where your wife has the freedom now to go do that and the heart to go do it. And, people, that's your why, right? People think money is their why. Money gives you the freedom to live your why.
Yeah.
And it's very inspiring. There's a lot of people that will watch this today. And of course, you're a modest guy. You're not doing it in any kind of bragging manner, but you're just saying that it does provide this. And I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of the chill on the wholesaling side of the business as to kind of like what that's like now. I mean, because it's pretty different than it was 120 days ago, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just night and day. I mean, it's crazy how, we've seen so many of the cash buyers and these HGTV and fix and flippers are just gone. I mean, just overnight. Hedge funds gone. Right?
Pretty much all the hedge funds are gone, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So now you have the freedom of knowing something that a lot of your competition is never going to learn.
Yeah, no, I mean,
they're not going to learn creative financing, right?
No, and some of them don't want to spend the time. And, that's the exciting part is for me coming into this market. If I just had, as they say, a one-trick pony, if I just had one way of doing this business, I'd be very, very scared right now. But the fact that I've, wanted to learn, and this is a never-ending journey. You're not going to become an expert. You're going to be, like I said, I wanted to be a student, and I will always be a student. But it's made me feel a lot more comfortable going into this market that there's so many people that are going to need our help. And some of us are going to be surprised that it's family and friends. I've already received those phone calls that of people struggling that were in forbearance, and it's like, hey, what do I do now? What are my options? Right. So,
in a super hot market, in a super buy low, sell high market, in a market where interest rates were essentially being given away,
right.
Creative financing wasn't that needed by the general public. Now what you're saying is what I see every day. I get a text almost every day for the same thing. Somebody is like, how can creative financing solve this problem? And we can't solve every problem, but it's amazing what we can solve, and make payments affordable, and give people home ownership in a way they would have never experienced it. So some really cool stuff, as you know, and I appreciate you guys helping us and supporting us with the Seller Finance Coalition, like helping, the lawmakers see the value of seller financing, particularly in a tough market. So
right.
You got a great story, my man. I appreciate you. I'm so happy for your family, and I'm excited for you, and you're really wrapping yourself in the armor you need to go survive in a different market. And I got no doubt, my man, you are going to kill it.
Yeah, I'm excited. And, I think, NoteSchool and the whole community for, being able to create, what it is. It's an awesome family and community where not only have I learned so much, but I've been able to, build lifelong connections and really friendships with people within the community that, everybody's at a different time of their life. And, some people have, capital sometimes that they want to place with people that they know are trained and are the right, people. So it's exciting to be a part of the community.
Well, it is a community, and I know that you have done well with some other NoteSchool folks, and they have a little less time, and so they've taken some money and put with you, and they like that result, and you do too. And Joe, I'm gonna let you come in and finish us up. This man right here has a big future in the wealth of knowledge that he has in creative financing, and I am fired up about what that's going to look like in the next few years.
Oh, for sure. I remember, Homero, the first time I met you, I was impressed with you and your bearing, and as a young man, and then almost immediately you jumped. It was pretty much immediately, but not only did you learn for yourself, you helped some other people in the community and kind of get started and get over the hump, and being the young guy, right? And I appreciate that. People, we talk about this NoteSchool community, but it's a thing. It's not something that we make up. And honestly, it is one of my favorite parts. We have great education and all of that, but it's that community, I think, that really sets us apart and sets folks up for the future.
Yeah,
sure.
no, I agree. I think, on the near future, we'll set up another call and I'll tell you guys the details. But one thing I even forgot, just because sometimes we have so much going on, I was able to connect my personal landscaper with one of the NoteSchool members, Joe, that was selling a property, owner finance. And my landscaper said, can you please help me out? I've been looking for a property. I do not want to he lives in a mobile home community. His wife passed away a year ago to COVID. And he's like, I just want to get away and I want to buy my first house. So I was able to connect both of them. And that is what it's all about. And it's amazing. And they're both extremely happy.
Awesome. Yeah. That's a great story.
All right. Well, Homero, thank you so much, Eddie. Well, I can say about this story, this is an Eddieism, as we call it in NoteSchool. If this interview, if this episode doesn't light your fire, your wood is wet, guys. Right, Homero?
That's absolutely right.
All right. I will wrap us up and take us home. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being with us here on this week's episode of NoteSchool TV. This community that we talk about, it's a real thing, and we talk about Quicken, Rocket Mortgage, and their losses and the sentiment, and people not wanting to, to buy, and we bring you the facts, but the thing that we do bring you as well is the solution. And that solution, and it's been proven over and over and over in Eddie's 40 plus years of experience in the note business, and my 30 plus years of experience in the note business, creative financing has always came to the rescue in uncertain times. And I think that defines where we are right now. So again, hook up with us, get in there, get with us. Let's talk about how we can work with you. NoteSchool.com/TV, NoteSchool.com/TV. And as we always say, we will see you on the other side. Bye now.